All right, again, the Mesozoic era, as with most eras, end in mass extinction. Okay, so we said that the asteroid or comet is what most likely killed all the dinosaurs. Let's move on here to our Cenozoic era. Before we go there, I just wanted to show you maybe some of the ancestors of what we know today. So we've got our modern day beaver right here. Scientists have predicted that during the Jurassic Age, a beaver looked more like this little guy or this little guy right here. Our short-tailed opossum, or possum, sorry, maybe evolved from an ancestor looking like this. But I think the most interesting here is this flying squirrel. There's not really much difference between a flying squirrel in the Jurassic Age and the flying squirrel of today, which is pretty cool if you ask me. But anyways, that's just a little bit of evolution there for you, and maybe some possible ancient ancestors of the mammals that we know today. And then lastly, our last era we're going to be studying, and the last era that we have is called the Cenozoic era, or the Modern Age. Its nickname is the Age of Mammals. It began about 65 million years ago and continues today. So you live in the Cenozoic era. Climate was warm and mild, that's what we're seeing today, and marine mammals such as whales and dolphins evolved. Mammals began to increase and evolve adaptations that allowed them to live in many different environments, like we're seeing today. We have land, air, and sea mammals. So this really was the age of mammals. As far as mammals range from all kinds of different habitats. Many mountain ranges were formed during the early Cenozoic era, like the Alps and the Himalayas, the Alps in Europe, the Himalayas in India, and the Rocky Mountains in the US. We know that those were formed back at the very beginning of the at the beginning of the Cenozoic era. Marine mammal examples are marine animals. So we had algae, mollusks, fish, and mammals that lived and thrived during this time period. Sorry, I'm itching my ears. My earrings are itching. Algae we know is seaweed. Mollusks are those hard shells critters down at the bottom of the ocean. Many fish lived during the Cenozoic era. And even though this is our modern era, because it was 65 million years ago, many of the animals that we have today are actually evolved from earlier ancestors in this era. So don't think that just because we're on this era it always looked like this. We're constantly evolving and changing slowly over time. Some of the land animals that we had are like our bats, cats, dogs, cattle, and humans. Humans are thought to have appeared about 3.5 million years ago. And again, if we put the geological time scale on a football field, modern humans would only be around for about the width of a blade of grass. If you think back to our video we watched, it was either 3 seconds or the fourth second, I think is what it's called. And if you have some time and you didn't see it in class, look it up. It goes over the fact that humans have only been here for about 3 seconds. If you put the time, the Earth's history into about 24 hours of a day, so the 4.6 billion years into the time scale of a day, humans have only been here for 3 seconds. 3 seconds. And we've had a huge, debatably, though not very easily debatably, one of the largest impacts on the Earth as an organism ever has. We are killing and causing the extinction of countless animals. Again, that's why scientists debate changing our epoch name from Holocene to Anthropocene. Okay? Remember, humans have not been here that long, yet we are having a huge impact on the Earth. During the most recent or Quaternary period, so Cenozoic era, there are two periods. We have the Quaternary, which is this period, and the Tertiary period, which was the period before that. Flowering plants were now the most common plant life. You see that today. We have many, many flowering plants thriving around us. Here are some Cenozoic mammals. By the way, because the Cenozoic era was the age of mammals, many of our megafauna, or huge animal life, were actually mammals. So there was a time period where we had like the giant ground sloths, which were about like 2 stories high. We had the woolly mammoths. We had like the saber-toothed tigers. We had like this picture here has the early horses down there. They were thriving, and then they all started to go extinct because they couldn't eat. But around the time that man evolved, about 3.5 billion years ago, these mammals became extinct. So even at our very earliest of evolution, we have been causing chaos into our ecosystems. But that's more of our earth and environmental science in me that is kind of showing. Here are some examples of our flowering plants. Maybe not right now, but you could go out and see these flowering plants all over if you go out your back door. By the way, I don't know why, but Finn has actually started to flower in my windowsill. So Finn is trying to reproduce the fly trap in the classroom. Not sure why, but even Finn is an example of an angiosperm or flowering plant. And then our Cenozoic mammals, like the ones that we know and love today, like our cats and dogs, our elephants, humans, and don't forget all those mammals in the sea. Let's see what else I have to say about Cenozoic mammals, because this is the end of your notes in PowerPoint. We'll go back here in case you didn't get this. So mammals became much larger and more dominant than their predecessors because of the lack of competitions from their dinosaurs. Remember, back in the Mesozoic era, the age of the reptiles, mammals were very, very tiny because that huge megafauna category was taken up by the reptiles. But because the asteroid took those away, or caused the extinction of those, it allowed mammals to grow very large and evolve to be huge. To the megafauna, like the giant ground sloth and the woolly mammoth, to even us, were considered pretty large mammals. Early modern humans first evolved around 200,000 years ago. That's what this stat said. Though our stats on our PowerPoint say that we were around 3.5 million years ago, so it is a little bit debatable. We are only, back to that 3-second thing that I was talking about, only about 0.0000044% of Earth's history have we been around. So we haven't been around that long. That's 4 zeros behind a decimal point in our percentage, like that little blade of grass, yet we are having a huge lasting impact on the environment. Again, that's all I'll say about that. So use these notes to finish up your notes, turn them into your assignment, make sure they're filled in and with a different color. If you have chosen to print these off because that's what you normally do, you're good to go ahead and do that and turn that in. If you've done these digitally, just submit the Google Doc to the Canvas page. I am thinking we might have an activity, but it'll show up on Canvas if we do. I haven't decided yet. All right, guys, have a great day. Goodbye.